Next question, the member for Cambridge.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is for the Minister of Finance. In February, this government created a task force to provide specific recommendations to change Ontario's publicly traded stock market and capital markets. The task force was called the Capital Markets Modernization Task Force and was chaired by downtown Toronto lawyer Waleed Solomon, who practices in special situations. In July of 2020, the task force released the 47 proposals it provided to this government. On September 3, 2020, the Canadian Securities Administrators, whose mandate is to harmonize capital markets across Canada, responded with their concerns that the task force ignored having Ontario adopt the passport system that harmonizes our capital markets with the rest of the countries, and also identified 10 proposals that had concerns with. Can the minister tell us if he plans on adopting all 47 proposals put forward by his task force that was chaired by Mr. Solomon?
Minister of Finance to reply.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the member for the question, and this work is important work, and I appreciate her giving me an opportunity to highlight it. Ontario's capital markets are an important part of the infrastructure of our success, not just now, in the future. And our government recognized that the evolution of those capital markets, as with the evolution of capital markets globally, was an important area of focus, and that's why we did appoint the task force. That task force has provided preliminary recommendations, but as is our approach in government, we wanted to make sure we consulted. So I asked that the broader community, including the national regulator, have the opportunity to comment on that. We're awaiting the final comments, and we'll look to those recommendations. But, Mr. Speaker, the work of the Capital Markets Task Force is aligned to the idea of this government. We want to create an environment where capital can be raised, but also where investors can be protected. And when those recommendations are final, I am sure that I'll bring them back to the House, and I'll look forward to it.
Thank you very much. The supplementary question.
Thank you. As a woman of mixed ethnicity, I found one proposal of the task force curious. The minister previously stated that the goal of the task force was to reduce regulatory burdens. Proposal 19 of the task force calls for the Ontario government to adopt a policy introduced earlier this year by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's federal government. This proposal calls for government-mandated gender and race quotas that all companies listed on the stock market would have to comply with. The task force also calls for 10-year term limits of corporate directors. The suggestion being that people, like me, can't make it onto a corporate board without your help. This specific proposal would actually increase regulatory burdens on companies listed on the stock market rather than reduce them. Can the minister tell us whether he will be moving forward with this new regulatory burden on business and apply government-mandated gender and race quotas that all companies listed on the stock market would have to abide by?
Minister of Finance.
No, Mr. Speaker, and again, I appreciate the chance. The member highlighted the members of the task force. I'd like to do so as well. Cindy Tripp, who was the founding partner and managing director of GMP Securities. Melissa Kennedy, who was the chief legal officer at Sun Life. Wes Hall, founder of the and executive chair of Kingsdale Advisors and the founder of the Black North Initiative as well. Rupert Dersham, a former CEO at AMIA, and also, of course, Waleed Solomon, she's mentioned. Mr. Speaker, all these recommendations will come before the minister. We will see what the recommendations back from the broader community are. But, Mr. Speaker, I think it's important that we look at all of these options. They are contained in a very consultative report, and we'll present them when they're ready, and look forward to reforming the capital markets. Thank you.